My question is, well, first of all, thank you for your time to joining our broadcast. But these elections on the occupied territories, I just love the sound of this phrase, the elections on the occupied territories, which is absurd. But of course they are illegitimate. You have already condemned them. So my question, what else can the European Union do about it so as to make it clear to the whole world it is a crime and shame and a fake show?
Well, first of all, these are not elections. These are so-called elections. This is totally illegitimate. This is a sham vote that is organized by the occupiers on the territory of another country. So, of course, this cannot be recognized. This cannot be even taken seriously. But the problem is that they are taking place, especially on the Ukrainian territories under the atmosphere of occupation, intimidation of the local population. So this, I think, they can be seen for what they really are, just a sham vote organized by the occupier in pure violation of the international law, in yet another violation of Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity. And it's for the whole world to see how illegitimate and illegal the behavior of Russia is when it comes to handling things on the Ukrainian territories.
Will there be personal responsibility for the organizers of these sham elections, such as, I don't know, personal sanctions maybe, or maybe some other responsibility?
Well, of course, every violation of the international law needs to be punished. There needs to be accountability. And the European Union has always said, especially when it comes to Ukraine, every violation of territorial integrity and sovereignty of Ukraine is answered by certain actions by the European Union. Most often, these are, and these have been also in the past, also when we had the so-called referenda in the Donetsk and Luhansk separatist territories, we sanctioned those people who were responsible for executing these decisions or these votes or these actions, and all those who were involved in it, including those, for example, I mean, in cases of Donetsk and Luhansk, those members of the Russian parliament who voted for recognition of this, or for the recognition of the annexation, or for all the acts which were linked to the gross violation and disregard for Ukraine's sovereignty. So, of course, I mean, after every such vote or so-called vote and sham fake vote on the Ukrainian territory, the European Union takes action and sanctions those responsible.
European Union takes actions, and that means sanctions. Forgive me my poetry, but maybe something else is needed. Maybe sanctions maybe it's just the one and the last thing that EU can do, the crime and the punishment. So the punishment, the sanctions, is that all? Can we do something else about it? Because this is outrageous, isn't it?
Absolutely, and sanctions are never just the only answer by the European Union. Sanctions are always just one of the instruments we are using. Another instrument is the public and international condemnation of these illegal actions. We are calling out Russia on the international scene and pointing out to Russia at every available opportunity in every international forum. Look, this is yet another example of the illegal behavior, of the disregard for Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity, but also disregard for the international law, disregard for the UN Charter. So these are just two of the measures we are taking, or two instruments we are using. But of course, I mean, one very important one is to help Ukraine to change the situation on the ground, to push out the aggressor, to push him away from the Ukrainian territories and reinstate the authority of the Ukrainian state on these territories. So there are multiple measures, there are multiple instruments we are using, and we will keep using them until Ukraine wins in this struggle for its independence and sovereignty.
These so-called elections are part of Putin's propaganda campaign, live-done propaganda campaign, no doubt about that. So should EU be talking more about it or less? What I mean is, aren't we flattering Putin by even discussing the whole thing on a global level, or we should be talking more about it?
I'm afraid this is not only propaganda, this is actually creating facts on the ground. This is what Putin wants, and this is what he started already back in 2014 when he invaded Ukraine for the first time in the East, and in Crimea, of course. But in the East, I mean, he just tries to carve out territory by territory by territory, claiming there are Russian citizens and we need to protect them. This is the twisted doctrine that he has been following at the latest since 2014. So it's not only propaganda, unfortunately. So we need to take this seriously, and we need to call out Russia for these violations, exactly for the whole world to see the illegality and the inhuman behavior by the Kremlin regime against Ukraine. This is unheard of. A civilized country cannot simply invade another country, grab away the territories, and then just organize elections there and impose their own state administration there, just as if the territory would belong to this country. This is not how international relations work in 21st century. Unfortunately, Putin doesn't get it, and he continues acting in the way that resembles more 19th century of imperialistic actions.
Yeah,
but this is not what the world should tolerate.
Thank you very much for your detailed answer. The thing is, I would love to, I'm not loving it, but I would have to disagree with you personally. Because if you want to find the alternative source of information, you will be able to find it. If you don't want it and you prefer to hide in the corner, or just, switch off your monitor and say that we have Putin and he will decide for us, then that is what is happening. Because it is a hard choice for Russian people now, that I must admit, because they actually are cornered to see at some point, they would have to see that they are the impersonation of the new modern fascism, the Russism. And this is a hell of a choice to understand that you are a fascist. Oh, pardon me. I would rather say that someone else is responsible for that. I don't know, Ukraine, aliens, whoever. But yes, this is a process. And yes, this is a long process. So, and thank you very much for your position and for what you do. Yeah, and I got one more question. That ocean on your back, why is it smiling? Take a look at your map.
Well, well, I'm speaking to you from my office, and in the end, we have to take the world from the positive side, because otherwise there are so many negative things and developments that if we dwell on them too much, it would just lead to one constant depression. So this is a reminder that whatever we are dealing with, we cannot forget how to smile and find pleasures and positive things in the smallest, in the simplest everyday things of our lives that can help us get through all the hardship we are either living in, or like the Ukrainians, or working with, like in case of us here in the European Commission.
I'll take that as a habit. Thank you very much, you and European Commission, for the job that you are doing and for your time and experience with us. Thank you very much, Peter. Hope to see you soon.
Thank you.